Going to ask everyone to come forward. We've got started this meeting, and I'm running a little late. I was outside talking to folks and heard the bell chime. Where does time go? Aldermen, I want to just say good morning to everyone and Happy New Year. This is our first meeting of the new year, and we are so grateful to have local pastor and friend, Reverend Jim Sanders here. And we're going to ask Reverend Sanders to open us in prayer this morning.
Good morning, Mayor and Board.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to be here today. A very wise man once wrote these words: "No man should enter into any great or important undertaking without invoking the blessings of the deity." And I'm proud to say that, as far as I know, this is always the way it's happened here. And I thank you that we have Christian leaders in our community, and I sincerely mean that. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you today, first of all, to thank you for sending your son, Jesus, into a sin-sick world to do what we couldn't do for ourselves, and that is salvation. As Dr. Martin Luther King's life and legacy was honored and celebrated yesterday, let us not forget for what he stood for and for what he preached. I remember one of his famous lines was, "I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." I pray that we will always remember this. George Santana once wrote, "Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it." I lift up our mayor and board to you today, along with our firemen, our law enforcement, our first responders, and everyone in the medical field, as they go forth each day, placing their lives on the line for our safety and well-being. I pray for our military, especially those in harm's way. The Apostle Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians chapter 13 about the excellency of love. And he ended the chapter with these words, "But now abide faith, hope, love, these three, but the greatest of these is love." I pray today we will remember these words, that we show love to someone today. And I pray that God will continue to bless our city as he has in the past, in the present, and in the future to come, never forgetting to praise him for his loving care. And I pray this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Reverend. Thank you for that beautiful prayer and inspiring word. Let us now join together in reciting our pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. We'll ask the clerk to administer the roll call.
Alderwoman Hall.
Here.
Alderman Frazier.
Here.
Alderwoman Smith.
Here.
Alderwoman Irvin.
Here.
Alderman Davis.
Here.
And Alderman Dillard.
Here.
All are here and accounted for, Mayor.
All right, thank you. I want to start out by just saying, while this appears to be a regular meeting, it's actually a special call meeting because we were not able to have a regular meeting last week because of the Mississippi Municipal League Midwinter Conference. Being that this is a special call meeting, we've attempted to put a number of items on the agenda because we can't discuss anything without it being on the agenda in a special call meeting. There are a few things that are on here that we may not actually do, but we put them on here. And so just be patient with us as we go along. But I also want to make a comment too, when it comes to our reports today, make sure that we keep them just brief and general, being that this is a special call meeting. And we will have our next regular meeting next Tuesday. And that's on the 24th at 6 p.m. With that said, I do like to take care of visitors early in the meeting. We're going to follow our agenda pretty closely, but at the same time, we may want to move up James Johnson because we have engineers here to discuss the Natchez drainage project, and I hate to have them, sit here so long. That project is actually, let's see, James, where is it on the agenda?
Second page,
Mr. Johnson,
I
come to the
can't
mic,
hear you.
please.
I think you might need to come to the microphone. We're going to go ahead and have that discussion while our engineers are here.
Morning, Mayor and Board.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Let me get my report. Y'all received a copy of my report.
We're going to come
Friday.
back to you for other items of
Right,
your report.
I'm aware,
But
yeah.
for right now,
So you want to turn this over to A&M Engineering to discuss the drainage report before I go into that item on Turtle Lane drainage?
All right. We would like to discuss the drainage. I'm just looking on here. I'm seeing the North Natchez Drainage Project.
It's on the Johnson report, Mayor, on the second page.
It's on the second page.
Have I got-
on the third
Oh,
page of
okay.
his
I don't
report.
have a copy of that in front of me. There we are. Want to make sure we're following. It's on the agenda, okay. I tell you then, in that case, Mr. Johnson, if you would go ahead and introduce our engineers who are here for the discussion.
A&M Engineering is coming under my report. Before I go into detail concerning the Turtle Lane drainage project, they will discuss in more detail the commissioned comprehensive drainage study, which the board members received a copy of middle of last month.
All right.
I'll turn it over to Jared Moncho and David Atkins.
Hello, Mayor, Board.
Hello.
Does everyone have a copy of the report?
We do. Mr. Monso, if you'll hold just 1 minute.
Okay.
Hold on here, please. It's not on the agenda.
It's not on the agenda?
No, it's not.
I thought it,
It was last time I saw it. You know, we're trying to get the information Friday before noon and early let out.
It's not, no, it's not on.
Then I can't say.
James,
It's not on
it's
the
on your
agenda.
report, yes,
Not on the report yet.
but it's not on the official agenda.
So it's-
I don't, in a special call meeting, I don't
No,
think we
it's not on
can.
the agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, yes,
just
Alderman
for
Dillard.
some clarity, on the second page, what is Mississippi Municipal County Water Infrastructure Grant? And then I see a motion to prepare submit application for Turtle Lane
Okay.
drainage.
It is there, it's just
And
not,
The Natchez.
okay. The
comprehensive
Turtle Lane,
drainage.
we can discuss the Turtle Lane Drainage Project as presented in the Natchez Comprehensive Drainage Study and the matches. Mr. Attorney, with that item on there,
I think we can move forward.
we can move forward. Okay. We just got to be sure. Special meetings are different. Mr. Monso, you are recognized.
Okay. So we have roughly 23 total sites. As you can see in our executive summary in our table of contents, one of them, site number 2, is included in site number 3. Site number 16 was not used. But just going down the list, in numerical order, Concord Avenue and surrounding streets, West Steers Lane, surrounding streets, and Holden subdivision, Rollingwood, Bluff Alley, Turtle Lane, Rose Lawn, Fry Avenue, Dana Road, St. Catherine Creek, George F. West Boulevard at MLK, Vine Street, Purnell Street, Rhythm Nightclub, number 2 Gloucester Court, New Beginnings Church, Adams County Christian School, Espiro Drive, Oakland Drive, Fine Avenue, and Glenwood Drive. The majority of the sites is either erosion and or street flooding. We do give a brief history of how we came about, with these issues dating back, to the 1700s to present, how the subdivisions came about due to the growth of the city. Whenever, the growth was happening, the city was trying to bring on workers within the city and just threw up subdivisions just out of nowhere. And, on top of these hills without any infrastructure. So fast forward, 150 years, 200 years, and now we have all these issues that are popping up. So on sheet 6 is a cost summary for each site. And totaling all the sites is roughly about 58 million plus or minus for all the projects. We will break down some of the larger sites. For example, West Steers is a substantial amount, about 30 million. So we're going to break that out into phases so we can, just for funding opportunities, it's hard to go after 30 million at one time. Concord Avenue, and several others that we can phase out and hopefully, pursue some funding for that. At this time, if y'all looked at the report or have any questions or concerns.
Yes.
Alderman Frazier?
You said West Hills Lane is the largest. Is the largest out of all of them?
Yes, sir.
I don't have the paperwork in front of me. I don't have it at all, but I would like to see how far where the exact in West Hills Lane, or how far it's going around in West Hills Lane. Do you have a map?
We do. Site number 3. So if you look on page 17, 16 and 17. So West Steers will encompass East Steers, McIntyre, Mario, Seals Lane, Watkins Street, Wilson Lane, Scotts Lane, Grinnell Street, Roundell Street, North Street, and West Steers from MLK all the way to East Steers. And also Ivy Lane on the opposite side of MLK.
I agree with you. That area is badly needed. There's a lot of erosion around there. We might gonna be able to get to some of it, but I don't think we're gonna be able to get to all of it. That much money, because I have other areas in my ward that need to be done dealing with drainage and stuff too. But I'll get back with you if I have any more questions or anything else.
Thank you.
One more question.
Yes.
Are these funds, are we going to get this money, or this money already been allocated through the federal grant program? Or
We're
these ARPA
starting
funds?
fresh right now. We are starting fresh right now. We dedicated some of the ARPA funds to pay for this drainage study because, as you know, we've reached the end of the North Natchez drainage project. It was a multi-million-dollar, multi-year project. And while we have completed that project, the drainage issues and erosion issues have continued. So this is a new study, and now we're going to have to get smart and see how we're going to get it funded. We're already working with our lobbyists and with legislative leaders, and we are hopeful that we can get some funding this year to begin some of the phases. I believe priorities are definitely the Concord area, the West Steers area, and then we have other, I would like to call them smaller bites of the apple that are not as expensive. I think one of those is in your ward, Alderman, maybe 2, Rolling Wood and another. what we're looking at right now is that the reason Turtle Lane is being discussed is that project, cars actually end up hydroplaning every time we have a major rain in that area. Some literally have to be removed with the assistance of trucks. And the Public Works Director has asked us to really take a look at that one. It just so happens that that item alone, out of the whole list, that item matches what we could apply for. We do have 200,000 in ARPA funds setting aside. And the Lieutenant Governor last week told us, both privately and also in speaking to the Mississippi Municipal League meeting, that applications which are due in another week are going to be most likely awarded on a 99.9% success rate. That being, if we have 200, which is what we have, and apply for another 200 from DEQ, that will be enough to fund a $400,000 project. So that is, Turtle Lane. But I want to just also say, I think we need to approach our legislators about these other items. I would like to make at least a 1 million or more request of our state legislature and direct appropriations. If we can identify phases of Concord, West Sears Lane, and a couple others, and that's going to have to come a little later. I know y'all are going to revise and break some of these projects down. Alderwoman Irving, I just wanted to give that background, and now I'm going to recognize you.
Thank you, Mayor.
I wasn't through.
Alderman Frazier, I'm sorry. We're going to
I'm
allow
good.
Alderman Frazier
I have
to
one more.
complete,
I just
and
have one
we'll
more
come back.
question.
Absolutely.
I just have one more question. Is that the entrance to Montebello Gardens in that area right there? That's where it's at.
Turtle Lane.
But David, I'm quite sure you familiar with this. That's been a 20, 30-year flooding in there. So
And I apologize, Dave. I got new hearing aids and I can't.
you need to cut them up, Dave.
Uh,
If you're involved in it, I'm gonna be kind of like comfortable with it.
Thank you.
Well, like I say, you got a lot of projects here. A lot of them might fall under Corps Engineers 592 funding. A lot might fall under NRCS funding. You got some more smaller funding sources out there. But you got a smorgasbord of projects. You can pretty much pick something that will fit the slot for your funding sources. And that's a big plus nowadays with money like it is.
Well, we are up against a deadline for this ARPA match application. So and that is on the agenda to approve a motion to prepare and submit an application for the Turtle Lane project. But I want to say, I would like for us to have another discussion on this next week where you could present, I know you were going to break down in phases, present another version of this study. And then we can approve the final list and the final priority list.
I yield
Yes, Alderman.
I yield the floor to Ms. Urban.
All right.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Irving, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor and Alderman Frazier. I just want to inquire about the Concord drainage project
Mhm.
in that area. Where's the map and what were the streets that were?
Okay, we have North Concord Street that's coming off of MLK, West First Street, LaSalle, West Vital, both sides of West Vital and the
Okay.
extension, and a short stretch of Gayosa, two small portions. So we're basically collecting. Yeah, and Monette. So we're basically collecting or adding inlets and storm drain, collecting them in the problem areas and discharging it into the local gully system.
Okay. Just wanted to be sure. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Mayor.
Sure. I want to just make sure, the reports that we're following, they were sent out and delivered on December 15th, I believe. And we wanted to just make sure everyone knows how to copy them. If
I do.
you
I have a
do,
copy.
okay,
I do have a copy.
all right. If you need additional copies, we have them at the office available. And also, we imagine we'll have a revised copy of this very soon, breaking down some of those phases like you discussed.
Mhm.
All right.
Mr. Mayor,
And yes,
I would just like to remind the engineers too, over in West Sears Lane, as we enter West Sears Lane, that section going past the church to McIntyre is also included in the study. Should be included in that study.
Correct, and it
Yes,
is.
that's-
Mhm.
Okay.
and it is, and I believe it's very likely going to be
The first phase.
one of the first phases, if not the first phase, because I've learned in the process you have to kind of attack these areas, one area at a time, and whatever the road is that is most impacted, most traveled, church is on it or school is on it, those are obviously priorities, and definitely highly traveled areas. So I just applaud you on the job you've done. It's a really detailed 152-page report, and you've done a fantastic job of indicating your reasoning on page 7 for the priority list. I would encourage the aldermen to study this list very carefully between now and next Tuesday, because next week we are going to need to approve the priority list and be comfortable going forward with the priorities. And I personally would like to see some phases of Concord Avenue and West Sears Lane between now and next week moved up on the priority list. Right now they are down, and I understand why, because they're very expensive projects. But if we break down the phases, then I think we could move a phase 1
Well, and
up on the priority list.
I want to say that because, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderman.
Say that I agree with the phases, because there were 3 different phases. It came to approximately, and I want to see, because I don't remember, I have looked at that packet, but I cannot remember the dollar amount. But the phases are cheaper, and we had that broken down. The dollar amounts, 500,000, I think, is what was needed in the first phase. But the overall total that I can recall when we last updated was approximately 2.4 million. Is that what you have in that packet now, sir?
Is that Concord we're
Yes,
talking
sir.
about?
Concord?
Yes, ma'am. Concord, well, actually, we have it at
At
6.2.
6.2 million.
6.2?
Yes, ma'am.
Prices have gone up.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Wow. It impacts the streets there, though. Okay.
Mm.
That's material and all.
It is my understanding that some of the most expensive ones is, it's a combination of a lot of things, but it would be very hard to make a $29 million project our first priority, because that's just so much money.
Right.
That's why, we're
breaking it down in
requesting the
phases.
breakdown in phases.
Right.
But I will say this, as you see on page 7, is very important. Hydroplaning, collapse of street, falling hazard, hydroplaning problems, collapse of street, loss of house, endangered commercial property. Those definitely are going to be the most important and the highest priorities.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Alderman Dillard.
I am going to have to request a copy of this. I don't know how I didn't get this one, but I don't remember getting it, but that's fine, and I can get over there. But, I think Roseline didn't get mentioned in any of this, and
It's there. It's there.
well, I was listening to the mayor, and he was moving things up the priority list.
Oh,
and-
Roseland actually is number 1 on the priority list right now.
Yeah, and it seems, well, it's number one right now until you revise it, but, I'm hoping you'll keep that in consideration. This is a cross through with a lot of children and with a notorious flooding in a couple of intersections. I think it was contributed to the original design, where I think the drainage system was undersized, and the other factors that avoided to it. But you're right. The danger to the public traveling and to the residents living there, and when you have a neighborhood with a lot of children in there, it is a fatality waiting to happen, and we'll take those in consideration. So I'm glad to see it on the list, and we'll see if it remains on the list. But my advocacy is for the children and the citizens that live there that have to deal with this chronic flooding. I mean, it's since I've been on the board, David can attest, I have been advocating for a remedy to this problem, and it's long overdue. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
It is. I would say that is on the list, and it's a $2.5 million project. Obviously, we're going to call James up in a minute, and we're going to take care of the motion, but I just want to make sure everyone understands the North Natchez drainage project that we had recently come to the end of. That was a multi-million-dollar, multi-year process. And this is going to be the same thing, I mean, we're looking at a bottom line of $57,864,000. That's almost $58 million. Obviously, we wish that we could correct everything on this list right now, but we can't. But this is a starting point. Turtle Lane will be a starting point because it just happens to meet the budget for what we can apply for right now, and hopefully have almost 100% expectancy of getting that grant. So we can ask for any more comments, but I'm ready to move forward with the motion.
Well, I would
When
just
you're
like
ready,
to say, and I
Alderwoman Irvin.
allude to what Alderman Dillard said, Concord Drainage Project has been in dire need for over 30 years as well. So to hear the conversation, Mayor, conversation, having it again, and we're looking at breaking down into phases and it eventually becoming a reality. That's good news even for the citizens to hear today as we have this meeting. So I just want to thank you for bringing that back up and letting the public know that we are, as a board, working toward fixing the drainage problems that we have here in the city of Natchez.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm going to ask Mr. Johnson to come back and guide us in the motion that we need to make.
And thank you all for presenting this
You're welcome.
information to us.
As it pertains to drainage, the last item on my report and the board, this was again provided to you this past Friday. Turtle Lane drainage, as the mayor mentioned, the 2023 Mississippi Municipality and County Water Infrastructure Grant Program. This is the same program which we applied for Morgantown Road Phase 2 and Silver Street on a dollar-for-dollar basis. Staff is requesting a motion to work with A&M Engineering on the preparation and submission of an MCWI application to correct the drainage problem at the intersection of Turtle Lane and Eastwood Road as detailed in the City of Natchez Comprehensive Drainage Plan. The total cost of the project is just under $400,000. Local ARPA funds needed total $200,000. DEQ ARPA funds requested total $200,000. In summary, a motion is being requested to allow the mayor to sign any and all documents relating to the submissions applications and for the city to pledge $200,000 in ARPA funds for this drainage improvement project on a dollar-for-dollar basis.
Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall and seconded by Alderwoman Irving. Discussion on the motion.
I just want to say, Mayor,
Yes, Alderwoman.
any issue like this we address to enhance the quality of life for people who live in our community. That's a dire need. And so that's our job as alderpersons to take care of the needs of our city and what we can do within our budget constraints to do so. So
Mr. Mayor,
Thank you. Yes, Alderman Dillard.
again, I'm just curious if the engineers had a priority list and Turtle Lane got moved to the front of it. Was that determined by Mr. Johnston or the mayor?
Would you like to expand upon that, Mayor?
Certainly, I would say that, as I said earlier, our public works superintendent, Justin Dollar, made a real plea for Turtle Lane, just in the fact that we're having so many issues with hydroplaning and just problems in that area, and actually having to go and remove vehicles with equipment at times. And we only have 200,000 in freed up ARP funds. I wish we had more.
You may have answered that. What was the cost of the total
The
project?
total
Just under
project's
400.
Just under 400.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So the math works for
Yes,
that
thank you.
project.
Math works.
Yeah.
Call the question.
All right. Question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank
Mayor.
you. Yes, Alderwoman Smith.
Can we go ahead and schedule another meeting? Because I think that y'all touched on one of the most important aspects. Some things will qualify for different monies that we can really prioritize what might be in RCS and then what might be something else. If we
Yes.
can really get them laid out like that
Yes. Oh, that's a good idea. It is.
with them, Public Works and
Okay.
Mr. Johnston.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll be working on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
The rest
We're
of my
going to
report.
now go back to our
Okay.
agenda.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Johnston. I think we just thank again, Jared David, thank you for all your work. Thank you. I think that takes care of what we had. We can now follow the agenda. And Ms. Bartley, it's so good to see you, and Happy New Year to you.
Happy New
And
Year
you're
to you, to
recognized.
each of you. It's good to be seen and not viewed.
Absolutely.
Yes, indeed. For real.
Yes.
We have to find some laughter.
Yes.
Yes,
On the agenda, I'm again appealing to you to apply to the Mississippi Department of Transportation for some funds that they have so that we can continue the work at the Natchez Senior Center and at Natchez Transit System. And in as much, there are 3 motions that I would like to request. The first is being regarding the Natchez Senior Citizen Center. Basically, there are funds for elderly and persons with disabilities, transportation needs that will fund the 23-24 year. And so my request, I'm asking for authorization to apply to the Mississippi Department of Transportation for 5310 elderly and persons with disability funds to provide transportation in 2023 and 2024 fiscal year. And for the mayor, the city attorney, the city clerk, and the executive director to sign the necessary documents related to that particular proposal. That's after the attorney reviews everything, of course.
All right. I have a
Second.
motion by Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderwoman Irving. Discussion on the motion. We'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Those particular funds are what we call direct benefit funds, and they directly pay for services for those individuals. The second one is for the Natchez Transit System. This particular grant, the 5311 Rural Areas Transportation Grant, it pays for capital costs, administrative, and operation funds. So in light of that, I would like to request authorization to apply to the Mississippi Department of Transportation for 5311 Rural Areas Transportation Capital, Administrative, and Operation Funds to provide transportation services in 2023 and 2024 fiscal year. And also for the mayor, the city attorney, city clerk, and the executive director to sign the necessary documents related to the proposal.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Irving and seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion on the motion.
call the question.
Okay, question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next
Thank you.
item.
And the final item I have, it piggybacks on the one I just talked about. But this particular, there are funds that are called multimodal transportation funds. And those funds will pay the matching cost for capital purchases like vehicles and things of that nature. That's really important this year because in a vehicle that would have cost us $70,000 or $80,000 are running $130,000-$140,000 now. And even small passenger vans that would have been $30,000 or $40,000 are in $75,000 and $80,000 marks. So if awarded these particular funds, they will pay that 20% match. So in essence, the city would receive those capital things at 100% cost, with no matching funds. So here is the motion for that. I request authorization to apply to the Mississippi Department of Transportation for multimodal transportation capital funds to match purchase request in the 23 and 24 fiscal year. And again, for the mayor, the city attorney, the city clerk, and the executive director to sign those necessary documents related to the proposal itself.
So moved.
Okay, a motion made by Alderwoman Hall and seconded by Alderman Davis. Any discussion on the motion?
I would just want to say, Mr.
Yes,
Mayor,
Alderwoman Irving.
to Mrs. Bartley, thank you.
Thanks, ma'am.
Thank you for looking out for our community, members of the community that benefit from these grants and things that we apply for.
Thank you.
So thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
All right, I'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you all so very much. We really appreciate it.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Bartley, thank you. You and your team, you do a great job. Ms. Cole, we're going to recognize you. I'm looking around. There you are. Hide behind that column.
Hi.
Hi there.
Hello. I don't know if it's morning or still or it's afternoon, but either or. Good morning, Mayor and Board.
Good morning.
NIFA Hardy is handing you all some of the specs and the estimates for our park signs at our 6 city parks, as well as our rule signs that we want to get completed and installed very soon at our parks to go along with our playgrounds. Sign graphics, their estimate for the park signs and playground rule signs came in at $26,546, and Southern signs came in at $31,422. I have worked with planning to get approval for some of the sign, well, for all of the signs. We do have some corrections as far as just some language as far as what the parks are going to be called in regards to Duncan Community Park just being called Duncan Park, or Jack Waite only being called Jack Waite Park, as well as Lewis Fry Madison Street Park is going to be Lewis Fry Madison Street Park. Do you have any questions?
Alderwoman Irving.
I wanted to say that initially when I got in, and this is in reference to Jack Waite Park, there were some community members that were interested in adding to that. So my personal thought is that we would go to the community. I mean, we're changing names, and this is them bringing, adding to, am I hearing you correctly? That we were adding to the parks, like community park or what have you?
No, we're removing that out of the sign. I was just saying that it does say Duncan Road Community Park,
Okay.
but we're not going to add that. It's going to just say Duncan Road Park, as well as Jack Waite Park is going to remain the same. We're not doing any changes with the
Okay, but I
name.
did not misunderstand.
The
I was
only
saying that
change-
If we're gonna do that, I think we need to get the community involved with that. Okay.
Yeah, the only change of park name is we're just adding Lewis Fry to Madison Street Park, and we're also going to keep Bubba West Theodore
Yes,
Bubba West
that Theodore,
Concord, yes,
That's in reference to him. But
yes.
my concern was Jack Way Community Park because there is,
Yeah, we're
some-
not gonna change it.
Okay. It's
Yeah.
gonna be Jack Wade Park.
Yeah. Mhm.
But could there
And-
possibly be, and I guess that would be my next question, could there possibly be, since we're just keeping this Jack Way Community Park, there were some members that wanted to add to the name, not take away, but add to. So could we possibly inform the community that that's,
What did they want to add?
I don't remember, Mayor, but there were several people that came to a meeting in reference to wanting to add to Jack Way Park.
We haven't had a meeting.
Nobody
It has
contacted
not
me.
been in this administration, sir. It has not, but it's often asked.
It has not been asked since I've been mayor, and that's been 2.5 years. And I hate for us to delay the project.
Well, I just think
That
that
would
we
be-
inform the public.
That would open up a whole other discussion, and that's the first I've heard since I've been mayor.
Mr. Mayor, would you,
It's up to the board, though.
Okay,
You know,
All
it's
right.
up to the board.
will you explain about, the Louis Fry name to Madison?
Yes, Alderwoman Hall, the Lewis Fry family donated that land many years ago and never had proper recognition on the signage. So we're correcting that oversight.
Yeah,
well, again, that was my
Alderwoman.
concern, Mayor, was
Okay.
that there had been some questions to add to that part,
Okay.
in reference to add to the park.
All right.
And so I'm just gonna ask the board members, please consider that as well, if we're enhancing the other parks and identifying who they were in,
Okay. You know, I
commemorated in reference to.
I wish that had been brought to
Well,
us.
this is,
And I-
before
this is
now,
not on this.
but that's up
for
to the
this-
board.
this-
We'll entertain a motion. We'll go from there.
Okay,
What
Any
is the
further,
motion?
well, you know, we don't even have a motion yet. You have made this presentation.
yes.
At this time, though, to continue our discussion, I would like to entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I, move that we approve and accept the bid for the new park signs and rule signs for the parks with sign graphics as the lowest and best bid.
All right, that motion's been made by Alderwoman Hall and seconded by Alderwoman Smith. Discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Alderman Frazier?
You said it was the lowest one, signed graphic?
Yes, Southern Signs is the second one, and it's at 31, or a little over 31,000.
Who was the other company? I mean,
Sign Graphics, it should be stapled. It's 2 pages.
And all these signs gonna be posted at the different city parks, right?
They are, along with, all of them will have rule signs as well.
And just so happens yesterday, I took a ride around the parks and the signs. Now that you see them up against all of our new equipment, they look especially in need of replacement.
They do.
Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Frazier, I'm sorry, did you have any further questions?
Also on this, okay, I'm looking now. I don't have, I'm looking, I see it right now. I was looking at the park rules and regulations and stuff.
Mr. Mayor,
All right. Yeah, Alderman Dillard, you're recognized.
I do have, and maybe, let me flip back through, is Osceola Park in here?
It should be. Concord, Duncan. It is not, I don't see it in, but it is getting, it will look similar to,
We don't have a copy.
I don't see it.
yeah, I may have missed it.
Question, but I know it's on the
It's on
list.
the list.
Yeah, it's on the list and it's going to, it is a part of both of the bids. But it is going to look similar to Concord and Jack Wade Park and Madison's design.
And the second question, the golf club, will that be at the entrance to the park? Because I know we had 2 signs, I think the superintendent had put on John R. Junkin. But this is
Yeah.
at the entrance?
Yeah, that's at the entrance. As soon as you come over the railroad tracks, I spoke with,
Oh, okay.
yeah, he already knows and he's on board with the name change that they already did on Junkin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right.
I have one more
Yes,
question.
Alderman Frazier.
One more. I'm looking at this and I don't know if you have, it's already in the make, but this sign, we need a sign at the North Natchez Park because we're the only one that have a splash pad. Do you have rules and regulations for the splash pad sign?
Right now, we do not because it's not operational. If,
But I'm planning on being in operation for the summer. No disrespect, but I'm planning on, we're gonna get that up.
yeah, should we get it operational and we are able to, then yeah, we'll get those rule size
I'm
put
gonna
up.
have to ask for order. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I've worked on
Yeah, good.
the splash pad to see what we can do to get it operational, and it's gonna take a while if we can.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
Mr. Mayor, I
thank
just have
you.
one more thing to say
Alderwoman
before
Hall.
we vote. The land and water conservation fund signs that are in the respective parks will remain. They cannot be removed.
Yeah, we're just gonna upgrade them.
Thank you.
Call the question.
Okay. Question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Ms. Cole.
And I just wanted to give a brief update about some of our upcoming events that we're having. And we are welcoming any partners and volunteers who would like to be a part of any of our programming, especially some of our bigger events and community events that we're hosting. Next month, we do have our father-daughter dance. It's February 25th to 23rd. 2003. And it is from 5:30 until 8 o'clock. We do need additional help and volunteers. Last year we had over 200 people, and we are basically looking to be probably about 300 because we cut it off due to the capacity of the building last year and the tables and chairs. So this year we're looking for it to be an even bigger event. And then also March 11th, we are having our Shamrock Shuffle for kids with cognitive or developmental disabilities. It's themed for St. Patrick's Day, and it is inclusive. It is a $10 fee, but we're hoping to get some donors and sponsors and partners to combat that fee so that it'll be totally free for all of our participants. We are partnering with Key Rehab, who have vowed to become a partner as well as a sponsor for the event. And in return, we're going to also partner with them to do a special needs egg hunt for Easter. So I'm looking forward to that as well. But also, I haven't posted it just yet, but we are having an Easter egg hunt for us, the city overall, all inclusive, on April, I want to say the 8th. And I don't want to get too far ahead, but it has not been advertised quite yet. But I am also partnering with Transit and the Senior Center to host a tea dance for our senior citizens on April 1st.
Wow. Wow.
Thank you.
I just want to say you do so much, and we appreciate everything you do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cole.
Thank you.
All right.
All
Thank you,
great
guys.
report. Thank you. Next item, we are not going to discuss the grant for the COPS grant at this time because Ms. Stover was unable to attend the meeting, but they are discussing that offline, if you will. I believe Ms. Stover is going to be working with Mr. Johnston just to answer any questions pertaining to grants, and we'll go from there. We do appreciate what Ms. Stover does for our city. Mr. Dollar is now recognized.
Mayor and Board, wanted to come before you today to let you know we had received quotes on the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. cleanup, street cleanup, as we've done in the past. We received 3 quotes this year in regards to that cleanup. Of those 3 quotes, we received 1 from Kohler Land Management, 1 from Thompson Tree and Spraying Service, and 1 from Hope Enterprises. Of those 3, the low bid was Thompson Tree and Spraying Service in the amount of $8,100. So here today to recommend approving them for a low bid on this particular project.
Do
So-
we have a
Second.
motion?
So
Alderwoman Irving has
Second.
made the motion. Alderwoman Hall has seconded the motion.
Mr. Mayor,
And yes, Alderman Diller, you're recognized.
Will this be for next year or?
Currently.
I'm going to move this up and get it ahead of the parade. If we could next year.
With the weather. I think
Is
that's
that
more or
what
less
happened?
what.
Well, we have now done this the last 2 years on the occasion of Dr. King's birthday. And it will commence, I believe, this week. Once we approve it, when will they start?
Once we get this approved,
Okay.
they're
Okay.
kind of
So
waiting on.
We're,
the approval.
we're right there. It is. I also want to say it's important to note that the price now has really come down from the first time we did it. Obviously, cleaning those curbs, gutters is having an effect on the street, maintaining a better condition. And we're so grateful for that.
So,
Mr. Mayor,
I'm sorry, one at a time. Alderwoman Irving and then Alderman Frazier.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just was gonna ask, what would this consist of with $800? What would they be doing, trimming back the trees?
Right. Curb and gutter, cleaning, edging all the way along. That'd be the curb edges, sidewalks, cleaning anything within the gutter line, trimming overhanging branches that would interfere with pedestrian walkings, things of that nature.
Good. And it's needed. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you. That's needed.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderman Frazier, you're recognized.
yes, Mr. Mayor, with a clear conscience, I cannot go along with this bid simply because the reason anyone who was involved in a legal dispute with the city over a prior project, I cannot go along with this company at all. But I feel that this is a great disservice to the city when you sue the city of Natchez. Then we want to turn around and get this same person to bid. I can't go along with it. I'm all in favor of cleaning up Dr. Martin Luther King, but I can't legally with a clear conscience vote on this.
All right. Thank you, Alderman Frazier. That you certainly are entitled to your.
I just want the board to let them know since they in case they don't forgot what we was involved in a lawsuit with this company.
So, Mr. Mayor, I just want to
Yes,
remind
Alderwoman
Alderman Frazier, if that's what you're saying, then it needs to be recorded in the minutes.
It's already been recorded in the minutes, but that we was involved in a lawsuit.
No, your response needs to make sure it gets recorded in this
Yes,
minutes
it's-
here,
it's-
and your reason why. And your vote.
All right.
Recorded in the minutes then.
All right. I would say, just let Alderman Frazier's comments be noted. We, Alderwoman Smith has called for the question. Are we ready to call for the question?
Second.
Okay, the question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. Alderwoman Hall.
Aye.
Alderman Frazier.
Nay.
Alderwoman Smith.
Aye.
Alderwoman Irving.
Aye.
Alderman Davis.
Aye.
Alderman Dillard.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item.
Thank you. That's the only thing.
Oh,
I have.
that is
The other
okay.
items will be omitted for today's. meeting.
Oh, that's right. This is actually, it's good that it's on here. I want everyone to understand, we have been noticing, and you may have noticed that the old brick wall that is, it said it's the old retaining wall for Silver Street is showing some signs of failure. And it's important that we get some bids to just see what the cost will be. The good news is that Silver Street is actually supported in very large part by
Piles.
pilings internally within the road itself. And so there is no imminent danger. However, it is important that that wall be shored up. We would never want to see dirt loss that could compromise the interior construction that does support Silver Street. So we were hopeful. Like I said, this is a special call meeting. We put things on the agenda. We were hopeful we'd be ready, but we're not. So we'll revisit this next week. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dollar. Mr. Johnson, we're going to call you back up for the balance of your report.
Good morning again, Mayor and Board.
Morning. Good morning.
Morning.
Again, I provided you with a copy of my report this past Friday, and I will read from there. Simmons Steam Cleaners Phase 2 Environmental Flood Assessment funded from our 2021 EPA Brownfield Coalition Assessment Grant. Paraphrasing from the report provided on April the 12th, staff presented and the board approved a Phase 1 environmental site assessment for the above listed property. Today, staff is requesting a motion to allow PPM Consultants, Inc. to perform a Phase 2 environmental site assessment, including asbestos survey at a cost not to exceed $50,000. The Secretary of State's office has recently reconfirmed on 12/28/22 that they believe a Phase 2 environmental site assessment will assist in putting the property back into productive use or reuse. The property is in the target area of the city's EPA Brownfield Assessment Grant and potentially an asset. MDEQ and EPA have approved the work plan to install up to 8 monitoring wells and 12 soil borings on the site. This will be the city's third Phase 2 environmental site assessment using the 2021 EPA Brownfield Assessment Grant, including the Triangle Filling Station Phase 2 ESA for the removal of 3 tanks and the Fry Building Phase 2 ESA. Pleasure of the board.
So moved. Second.
Okay. Alderwoman Irving has made the motion, and I'm going to recognize Alderman Ben for the second and Alderwoman Hall for the third. We obviously, this is a great thing, and we're so grateful for that grant that's making these assessments possible. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderman Dillard.
The $50,000 for the survey, is that included in a grant or is that a cost to the city?
No cost to the city. That's
No
part of
cost to the
our
city.
near $500,000 EPA grant. And my apologies for, jumping around. I did say I was going to paraphrase and no sense in reciting everything.
But yes, that is
Thank you,
part of
Mr.
that.
Mayor.
grant. Thank you, Alderman Dillard. Any
Question.
further? Question has been called.
Second.
All right, we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. Next item, Mr. Johnson.
Also, with regard to our EPA Brownfield Assessment Grant, staff is requesting a motion to allow PPM Consultants to perform a Phase 1 environmental site assessment on this industrial site at a cost not to exceed $12,500. IP closed its facility in 2007 and is now owned by Adams County. The property was identified in the original Brownfield grant as a priority, and a Phase 1 ESA is needed by a prospective purchaser because of the past use of the site as a manufacturing facility with a number of chemical operations.
What's the pleasure of the board?
moved. Second.
Motion made by Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. And I do want to remind everyone that the grant being used is a grant that was jointly pursued by the city and the county, and also the Friends of the Riverfront for Natchez. And we're very grateful for that partnership that will make this happen for our industrial park.
What was the dollar amount of the grant, Mayor?
The dollar amount, that was about $500,000.
292, I think, rounded.
Well, the entire grant amount that we received 2 years ago.
About 492. My bad.
There
My
you
bad. My bad. My
As
bad.
I said, about $500,000.
Yeah, my bad,
492.
my bad.
All right.
Mr.
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes,
again, Mr. Johnson.
Alderman Dillard.
Any cost to the city?
No cost to the city.
But the cost, no cost to the city is that we've applied for an EPA grant.
We have it funded, and when we incur the cost to appear on the docket, we seek reimbursement. Matter of fact, we have a reimbursement that came in today from our ASAP account for cost incurred to PPM.
Is this no cost to the city perpetual? In other words, we can just keep applying for these and there'll never be a cost to the city?
No, we will eventually run out of these monies, and when we do, I mean, we will not be, making this request to the board.
How much monies are in that grant?
The initial grant request was 492. I don't have a balance in front of me at the moment. I want to say around 300,000, give or
Well, I mean,
take.
my only point is that fair enough, it's no cost to the city.
Right.
This is a piece of county property, but we use our grant, monies from our grant that we secured to do county work. That's going to eventually take away from any city work. Would that be right?
Keep in mind, I mean, that is correct, but I mean, this was a joint effort between the city, the county, and for Natchez. And I mean, an IP was part of the original application.
Yeah, the county just never, seems to be coming this way. We seem to be going that way. But anyhow, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman.
I got you.
Any further discussion?
Yes.
Alderman Frazier?
So you're requesting that the city put up $12,500
Not from the general fund, no, sir. This will be charged to the grant.
if we get the grant.
We have the grant.
We have the grant.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're not putting up anything.
No, sir, we're not.
Oh, because I had some questions about this. If we putting up 12,000.
No, sir, we're not. This is coming from our EPA Brownfield grant we have in place.
Call the question.
Question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Mr. Johnson.
Yes, sir. North Natchez Drainage Project Phase 2B, or Phase 2D, I think, actually. U.S. Corps of Engineers, Section 592. Staff in concert with consulting engineer Tremont Smith, WGK Engineering, is requesting a motion to approve change order number 10, final change order, reducing the construction contract by $235,346.37 from $2,895,496.02 to $2,660,599.65. The change order is due to the adjustment of quantities required for execution and completion of the project.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Frazier. And again, this is, we are phasing out. We're at the end of that project. I will call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Mr. Johnson.
Yes, sir. City Hall flooring and painting improvements. This is part of our 2020 Community Heritage Preservation Grant Program funded by Archives and History. Staff in consult with Waycaster and Associates is requesting a motion to accept the painting component quote bid from Smith Painting and Contracting, including base bid at alternate number 1 and at alternate number 2 for a total award of $49,526, subject to the review and approval of Mississippi Department of Archives and History. And you see below a summary of the 3 bids received.
So moved.
Second.
Alderwoman Hall has made the motion, seconded by Alderwoman Smith. Discussion. Call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Mr. Johnson.
In consult with Whitecastle and Associates is requesting a motion to reject the component quote bid from Thorpe Sheet Metal in the amount of $80,329.
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made by Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. We'll have discussion.
Is this for the same location?
Yes, ma'am. City Hall.
Obviously, the flooring bid came in excess of our budget, and we're going to look at another.
Rebidding?
Very likely. We're looking at another strategy. We want to stay within budget as best we can. We'll call for the question.
Second.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Mr. Johnson.
Staff is requesting a motion to waive applicable building permit fees associated with this Natchez City Hall project.
Motion.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion. We'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Mr. Johnson.
Staff is requesting a motion to again receive quote bids for the flooring component of this project, including modifying the scope of work to omit the removal installation of new carpeting throughout the second floor foyer and hallway.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. All right,
That's correct.
yes, and any discussion? We'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Next item for myself, cancellation of deed of trust, 2000 housing revolving loan program.
Mr. Johnson, you omitted something at top.
That was just for reference point. I mean, if you'd like, that does list the balance of funds we have available for the City Hall project.
Okay, that's what it is
Okay.
about.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'll entertain a motion for the cancellation of the deed of trust.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderwoman Smith. Discussion on the motion. Yes, Mr. Calloway.
Will you please explain to the board why we're canceling this deed of trust?
Back in the day when I worked for the city the first time, we had received money from MDA to try and encourage first-time home ownership. Staff worked very closely with ECD, Enterprise Corporation of the Delta, Bill Bynum, and with Britain and Coons First National Bank, James Cole, Senior VP, to try and create a blended loan for first-time home buyers. While obviously the program was quite successful, once we did close on the loans were then in turn sold to ECD, who then, serviced the loan. A local attorney, I think was having made a request a couple of months ago with regard to this. I don't recall all the details that, the local attorney did have, but that in performing a title search, he did notice that this, I guess, deed of trust had not been canceled. And so I walked across him one day on the street and he mentioned it to me. And then thereafter, he did provide this to see if the city would be willing to. And ECD, who did service our loans, has stated that the loan has been fulfilled in its entirety as well. And my contact has always been Phil Idy.
That's all we needed to know.
Well,
Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
I just wanted to say, we encountered something that you just explained in 2000, in our first administration. We did have that come about, so
Okay.
that's good that this is happening.
Okay.
Call the
Thank you.
question.
That's good that this is actually happening, because we
Thank
did have that same thing happen with us.
Thank
Alderman.
you.
In
Alderwoman
your ward.
Paul has called the question.
You
Second.
ever call that?
All right, the question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item.
And my final item, purchase of 1,000 gallon and 1,500 gallon per minute pumper truck. The 2022 Assistance to Firefighters Grant Program, funded with the Department of Homeland Security. Staff is requesting a motion to work with the Fire Chief Arrington on the preparation and submission of an AFG application for the purchase of a 1,000 gallon, 1,500 gallon per minute pumper truck to replace the often sidelined 750 gallon, 25-plus-year-old department pumper with nearly 100,000 miles on it. Match would be 10%, and we are still trying to research the cost of the pumper truck. Noting cost of vehicles is not what they used to be.
So motion made by Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderman Frazier. Discussion on.
Yes.
Alderman Frazier.
Chief Arrington, this pumper truck, is this gonna be a new truck or used or what?
Brand new.
Brand new,
Yes, sir.
okay.
Custom built.
Straight, so it's gonna serve our purpose.
Yes, sir.
What we need.
Yes, sir. We will design this truck from beginning to end. If we receive this grant, we will be able to design the truck the way that we need it.
So
Oh, what do you mean? Did y'all gonna design? Explain. Can you go into more details to me?
So we work with the manufacturer. We kind of pick out aspects of it: the chassis, the size of the pump, the capacity of the pump, the tank size, all of those different things. We get to kind of pick out and design from the different options that they have available.
The apparatus and all that. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
All right. Alderman Davis has had his hand up, and then we'll go to Alderman Dillon.
It's the same process they did with the other truck that we got a few years ago. It's the same process.
All right. Alderman Dillon, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Johnson, you said the city's obligation would be a 10% match.
Correct.
And what becomes of the old pumper, or do we discard it? Do we surplus it? Do we donate it?
Of course, that will be up to you guys. Historically, I think we've surplus those trucks and tried to get them out to auction or something. That being an older truck, good luck.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr.
Yes. Alderwoman Irving.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to ask, will Mr. Dollar be including with helping with the specs of the vehicle?
No, man.
No.
No, man. We have
I mean, he has in
historically.
the past. That's my reason for asking. He has, even with the new fire truck, he assisted with the specs with it as well. So I was asking.
Okay, I was unaware. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm just,
No.
you answered my question. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Call the question.
Okay, the question's been called. Second.
Second.
All right, we'll proceed to the vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Mr. Johnson, you are exemplary in the work you do. Gosh, that's a lot that we just covered, and thank you. And not even mentioned is the fact that we had a meeting last week working on timelines on so many projects that are covered under our bond issues, mainly the renovation of these buildings to include the convention center and also our streets project. We're hopeful that very soon we will be bidding for that street project. City officials reports, I just want to say, this is a special call meeting. We can't entertain any motions that aren't on the agenda. So if you would, just keep your reports of a general nature. Mindful, we will have another meeting next week. Our regular meeting is next week on the 24th. Alderwoman Hall?
Yes, sir. With our Mississippi Municipal League meeting this past week, we had an opportunity to meet with all of our legislators except one, and including meeting with the lieutenant governor. And there were some priorities, and these priorities will also encompass us and what we can do to improve our municipality. And I will be seeking more communication with those legislators and seeking more funds for bridges and roads for our community.
All right. Thank you. Alderman Frazier?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I have a lot, but since it's a special call meeting, I do like for the Public Works Director, I had a call from Mr. Jimmy Walton at 105 Urban Lane. He have a sinkhole developing. I think I request that the city go down there and look at that sinkhole in his yard. Talked to the gentleman. He said he spent $600 getting somebody to fill it up and then caved in again.
What is that address?
105 Ivy Lane.
105. Okay.
And I think also I have another one request that on Blueberry Drive, Miss Foster, Miss Jean Foster, she also requested that the bond cleanup behind the city property. It's trees that need cutting from around the light pole. Every time the inclement weather, it hit that light pole. So I need for you to go there and clean that up as soon as possible for her. My last and final thing that I have, if possible, like I said, this is a special call meeting. I don't want to hold these gentlemen up, that we can possibly have a discussion dealing with the parade of horses. So I don't want to hold these people that came to this meeting, but it's a special call meeting. I just want to explain to y'all. I know you have something to say, but it's a special call meeting. If possible, can you come back to the next board meeting?
Give them the date and time.
If you can come. We will discuss that, y'all. So I don't want to keep y'all just sitting here, as the mayor said. Is that possible that we can do that?
Any citizen can make a request.
Yes.
To my office
Well, see,
to
I
be on
want-
the
like,
agenda.
Yes.
Certainly.
I didn't want to do it today because I was going
will
to yield
say
5 minutes of my time.
Alderman Frazier, it's a very good point that you've raised. I understand we have procedures in place. I would encourage, Mr. Berry and I've already talked, I would encourage you to have a meeting with our police chief to discuss the procedures going forward. Because, I think it's a wonderful thing to have in our parades as long as we are following the legal processes, the notices, and the chief, you can guide in that process, correct?
And we do have ordinances, Mr. Mayor.
And we do have,
Yeah,
there is a livestock.
in the city, so that I cannot.
Okay, I'm not going to get into, because as we said, it's not on the agenda.
Yes,
But perhaps at our next meeting, we could have a report on what that livestock ordinance is to further educate the public. And I encourage you, Mr. Berry, as we said, to continue having that communication with our chief. All right.
Mr. Mayor,
Thank
say
you.
something with that being said, just add to you.
Yes.
I just wanted to say, if we're going to inform the public, can that be placed in the newspaper as well? So people will know in advance, they have something in front of them that they can relate to.
Certainly.
That if we're following our ordinance, then it should be published in the paper.
Okay.
And that's Democrat and Bluff City Post.
Okay. Thank you,
Thank
Alderwoman.
you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, we can't allow individuals to speak at this meeting unless you have prior approval and are on the agenda. But we do allow citizens 5 minutes at our meetings, provided they get prior authority to do that, and the paperwork is in the mayor's office, and you can make a request to be on the agenda for our next meeting. All right.
And just remind them, Mr. Mayor, our next meeting date is January 24th
January
at 6
24th
p.m.
at 6 p.m.
So
Thank you.
that's our next meeting date, January 24th at 6 p.m.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Alderwoman Smith?
No report.
Okay. Alderwoman Irving?
Oh, yes, Mayor, but I'm gonna have to cut it short. Cut it short, and I do have a list, but I want to start off, Mr. Mayor.
I'm so sorry.
I'm just wanting to be excused for.
Oh, certainly, Alderman Frazier.
I'm just gonna keep it short. Mayor.
Yes.
I do want to start off with MBCDO. MBCDO and MML meeting. It was a great meeting. I learned some new things. I'm not gonna go into them now. We'll bring them forward in our next board meeting. But Mr. Mayor, I want to thank you. Thank you for kicking off our Dr. Martin Luther King weekend with the event on what was that, Saturday? Sunday evening. Okay, thank you so very much for doing that. And then I also want to thank the NAACP, the president, the committee chairs, members of those committees for an awesome parade. It was very detailed. We had a lot of participation. We had a lot of people out on yesterday. So we, the city of Natchez, are keeping or is keeping the dream alive. Dr. Martin Luther King, our hero, a great leader, and his legacy. And I just want to say thank you. Great job, Mayor.
Thank you
Great
so
job.
much, Alderman. Thank you for that.
You're
Alderman Davis?
No report.
All right. Alderman Dillard?
Ditto.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We will now move to the city clerk's report, and we will call on Ms. Bell.
We ask for approval of the following board meetings. December the 13th, 2022, regular board meeting.
So moved. With the appropriate approval by our attorney.
Excuse me.
Motion has been made by Alderman Hall and seconded by Alderwoman Smith. Discussion on the motion.
Mr. Mayor, I had
Yes,
already gone over
Alderwoman
some
Hall.
changes with Mr. Attorney and our deputy clerk
Okay.
from that day.
Um,
Primarily spelling
and-
changes and
And what kind of changes were those?
primarily grammatical
Okay.
changes and proper spelling of names.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you. Further discussion? We'll call for questions been
Second.
called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item.
Approval of the December 21st, 2022 special call board meeting.
It's a pleasure of the board.
So moved.
So moved.
Pending approval of the attorney.
All right, motion made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderwoman Irving. A discussion on the motion.
All the questions.
The question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Request for approval of the first January 2023 claims docket.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion on the motion.
I do.
Alderwoman Irving.
One of the things too that were pointed out in the MML meeting, Mayor, and I went to municipal law, is that our city clerks, I don't want to make a motion this meeting, but I will the following meeting. You asking the city clerk to bring all invoices to the meeting. That's something that should be in our regular board meeting each time we meet. That came from information that was shared in municipal law. Mr. Tom Hood was the representative. That was not a question that I asked, but it was so many new members that were in that meeting. And that was one of the things. So all invoices should be asked. So when we have questions like I do about our claim docket, you're able to provide that information because it is a public meeting and that's the information that was shared. So I'm going to begin with page 11. Page 11. And I just want to ask, and I have a note here, and it's on page 15 in our docket. Why is this invoice being deducted from the overtime account? And that's on page 11. and that's account number 001-100-445, from the overtime account instead of the contract services for the police department. And that's the reason why I'm asking. Look there to see, and that's, again, account number is 001-100-445. Instead of the contract services, it's being deducted from overtime. That's on page 11.
Okay, Madam Clerk, do you have a?
No, it's probably an oversight. I just get accounts payable to look into. it.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, I see it there,
number
but
I'm
it should be
seeing is
coming out the
4
right account. It's there, the money's
455.
there. And I'm not saying that, I'm just saying
100-455.
455, yes, sir. Okay,
We'll
and
look
then,
at that.
on page 27. Okay, and this is for Mr. Johnson. This is without, just Mr. Dollar. What were the services provided with Altech, and what kind of services were provided? That's on page 27. Altech. Yes, sir.
Mr. Dollar, if you'll approach the microphone, thank you.
I don't have the specific invoice in front of me to see, but if I had to guess, it wasn't a few $1,000s?
Yes, sir.
Right, so that was for the replacement of hydraulic hoses in the bucket truck. Again, sounds pretty basic. No, the entire boom off the truck had to be removed and disassembled because the hoses run inside the boom arm itself. Most hydraulic hoses we replace in our, do it ourselves inside our shop. This particular one, we did not have the equipment to be able to get the boom off the truck.
Thank you. And I have one more, Mayor. It's on page 44. Mr. Samuel Thomas, he cleaned the city auditorium. Have we changed our staff? Because it's been Mr. Don Bates, and I'm asking because the dollar amount.
I'm going to ask Mr. Jody Rudder to answer that.
Okay, thank you.
They did change the person that's cleaning it up. Don was the last one to clean it up, and he's the one that brought this guy on. This guy worked for the county also.
Okay.
And he's
so
just going to continue doing what Don did.
at that dollar amount, $600, or was that more than 1 month?
I don't know. I'd have to look at it. It wasn't
Please
submitted
look,
to me.
because
I
we have
will.
been
I will.
Paying for $250 for Mr.
Right.
Bates.
I know that the last event they had, it was left in pretty bad condition, the auditorium. But
So then my
Yes,
next question.
I'm not aware that we've had an increase, but
It
it is
is,
a
it's an
fair
increase.
question.
Right.
Well, I don't know how, I don't
It's
have the
$250 is
invoice.
normally what we used to see it on the.
Right.
It doesn't ever get submitted to me. I never see it. So.
They might have an
Um,
event down there.
The clerk.
Do
I
I?
just asking, was it more than one cleanup, and we
If-
see this on a
if
regular
we could-
basis, $650.
I mean,
If
there
we
may have
could,
been two events on one weekend, and they
If
cleaned it
we
up
could,
twice.
The clerk, do you have anything?
Yes, Mr. Dunn is getting ready to retire in February, so he did bring this new guy on. And I think this is more than one event.
Mhm.
And one of these events were very huge. It was a huge event, so I think he had to bring in additional help for the cleanings. But we can definitely look into it. The
Thank you.
invoices when we get back to the office.
All right.
And the only thing that I was asking, Mayor, and the reason why I was asking, if you're used to seeing something $250 for a cleanup, and I understand there have been several things happening here, but what would be his rate of pay? Is it this amount each time? And that would be my question.
Thank
All
you.
right,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
That's all that I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, any further discussion? All right, we will now call for questions. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Request for approval for the 1st January 2023 mini claims docket.
So moved.
Second. Okay, Alderwoman Hall has made the motion. Alderman Davis has seconded. Discussion on that motion.
Okay. I do, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderwoman.
And thank you. Now, we've had a little discussion on Auburn before, so I just want to ask this person who's cleaning up there, Mr. Perry. He's
Yes.
gonna be he's a new person that has been brought on to take care of the grounds there. I'm
Actually,
asking.
it's my understanding he's been taking care of the immediate area around Auburn for a number of years. And his contract was with Friends of Auburn. And now that they no longer are taking care of the mansion, those expenses have to come to the city.
Okay, and it looks great. It looks great. The trees and things are removed. I'm just merely asking a question. So
Sure.
when we see this, we'll see that it's gonna be here repetitively. And then, what was the other one? Magnolia Legend Foundation. Magnolia Session Foundation. Can anyone?
Yes, and that is, we are working on a legend celebration to celebrate legends in our community and legends in Mississippi pertaining to Black history and pertaining to outstanding musical achievement. And we are working now with Magnolia Sessions, Mr. Jimmy Mack, on this concert to feature Dorothy Moore, G.C. Cameron, and others.
Okay.
Sounds
great.
And that is, pertaining to that expense.
Okay.
Now we're aiming for the end of February
Mhm.
for this event. We have received a generous donation from Taco Bell and also Magnolia Bluffs Casino, and there are others pending. I will say that date may end up having to be changed due to some scheduling issues we're just finding out about.
Mhm.
But the Legends concert itself will continue. It just may not be that day.
Okay. Well, I need to speak with you after the meeting.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
All right.
All right. And just know we traditionally throughout the year, we sponsor and help with events pertaining to the celebration of Black history, our African American heritage.
Mr.
And
Mayor.
that is, part of that.
I'm actually working on a project as well for Black history, and I'm gonna need some assistance.
Okay.
I'm gonna need assistance with the directory of all the African American businesses
Okay.
in the city of Natchez,
Okay.
if possible. So
Sure.
I need your help with
Be
that.
happy to help
And we're
you.
trying to have it before the end of February.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion or questions? We'll call for the question.
Second.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Request for orders of approval for the tax abatement application for the property located at 306 South Union Street.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall, second by Alderwoman Smith. And we're happy to see this tax abatement taking advantage of. Someone mentioned just the other day that the new official smell of Natchez is new paint. And walking down our streets, you smell fresh paint everywhere. That's a good thing.
Early spring.
We will have a discussion. We'll call.
Call
for the
the
question. Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
That abatement, and I just want to be, was that,
It's an abatement we put in place. There was an abatement already, and we extended that abatement to apply not just to exterior renovations, but overall renovations to properties within our preservation district.
Mhm.
And it is a 7-year tax abatement, which means the taxes, the value will not go up
for?
on the city's portion of that tax for 7 years.
Well, I understood that. I just wanted more information
Sure.
about it going
Sure.
out that far, but okay,
Mhm.
preservation.
And
Okay.
it's a good thing. We're just glad to see people starting to take advantage.
Call the question.
Thank
All
you.
right, the question has been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item.
Request for approval of interfund loan repayment.
All right. What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion.
Did we have a list of the repayments?
Yes.
Alderwoman Irving.
Oh, I did see that. Okay. Just
Okay.
making sure.
Okay. And this is just a matter of keeping our books straight, making sure. Any further discussion?
Call the question.
Second.
Okay, the question's been called. We'll proceed to the vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item.
Request for approval of December 2022 high fire report.
What is the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Second. Right, motion made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion.
Call the question.
Question's been called. We will proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Last item, Madam Clerk.
No requested action, just providing the budget status report for October 1st, 2022 to December the 31st, 2022. She has that comment on it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Let's see. I'm not seeing that on my agenda.
She just provided the budget status
Just
report just for
providing it.
informational
Okay, it's just
purposes.
a comment.
Yes.
No,
No action
Okay.
required.
no vote required. We don't have to accept it. Just know that it has been provided.
Yes.
All right. And then we do need, there is one other item. We need approval, Mayor and Board of Aldermen to travel to
Yes.
the MML Midwinter Conference because of the holidays that never took place.
It never took place.
And so we need a motion.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Irving, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion.
Question.
Question's been called. We'll
Second.
proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
City Attorney's report.
Mr. Mayor, is Mr. Clarence Harden present?
Don't believe he is.
I presented the board with the resolution for you to review. Mr. Harden has a lot on Concord Avenue next to a vacant lot owned by the city. That is 23 Concord Avenue. It's actually lots 14 and 15. The lots owned by the city have kind of become in disrepair. Limbs have fallen onto Mr. Harden's property. It has damaged his sheds, buildings, fences, and some personal property. Mr. Harden has made a claim against the city, claiming damages caused by the failure to maintain the city property. We have negotiated what I believe is a reasonable settlement of that matter. If the board approves it in this resolution, and the proposal is that in return for him paying the city $1,500 and signing a full and final release of all claims he may have against the city will sell him lots 14 and 15, which are undeveloped property we got as part of the Condeer.
So moved.
Second.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Alderwoman Irving has made the motion
Yeah.
and Alderman Frazier has seconded. Any further discussion?
Nothing other than please note the resolution also, this is just surplus property. We call it that before we
Yes.
make the settlement if the board approves it.
Okay, so the motion then is to declare this surplus property? Is that the motion?
Motion to declare it surplus property, adopt this resolution declaring it surplus property, selling the property to Mr. Harden for $1,500 in return for a full and final release.
All right, the motion's been properly made and seconded. Discussion?
Yes, sir. I just
Alderwoman
want to
Irving.
say, have no problem, absolutely nothing with this, and just, we're setting protocol. If this happened to other members of this community, the same protocol would be adhered to. This resolution, this here, if this happens again to someone else in our community.
I would have to say every situation is different.
Okay, because
I
we're
would
setting
not make
protocol.
any blanket statements.
I don't have a problem with it. I'm glad to see that we're adhering to this.
But every situation is different.
Okay.
But I thank Mr. Callaway for looking into this matter and bringing this to our attention today. All right, further discussion? We'll
On the
call for the
question.
question. All right, we'll proceed to a vote. We'll do this just a voice vote.
We can, but can I, and one more thing before we do this? Just so we're clear, Mr. Harden's alleging that we're not admitting anything in this settlement. We're just compromising.
That's correct.
It won't be, hey, if the limb fell on my property, sell it to me. That ain't happening.
No, like I said, every situation is different. But I will say that this does work with our ongoing desire to see any properties that are grown up or not in a good condition being made available for purchase by neighboring property owners.
Well,
And
any surplus.
and we are seeing gradually a change in our community because of this. And it's good to see it because we want Natchez to be reflective of the beautiful city that we are known to be. The question has been called. We'll call now for a vote. We will do this on a roll call vote. Alderwoman Hall.
Aye.
Alderman Frazier. Alderwoman Smith.
Aye.
Alderwoman Irving.
Aye.
Alderman Davis.
Aye.
Alderman Dillon.
Aye.
Ayes have it, motion carries. The next item, Mr. Attorney, I understand you're still working on that.
We're still working on that, but moving forward, looking forward to it.
Okay, we'll have more discussion on this next week. We have been discussing this now for some time. It is the city's desire, as was expressed in a motion at a board meeting. My goodness, that's now been 2 months or more ago, to work with the Historic Natchez Foundation on a plan for Auburn. And we are now at a point where the Historic Natchez Foundation is requesting that we enter into a lease with them that then will allow them, the experts in historic preservation of our city, to be at the helm. And I want to just applaud them. We had a fantastic meeting Thursday night. It is said it was the best attended annual meeting of the Historic Natchez Foundation ever. And this was discussed at the meeting. They are ready to do this, and I'm just excited that we have someone of their caliber ready to step in and create a new chapter for Auburn. And we have been getting some questions, and I just want to say it is the Historic Natchez Foundation's desire to continue keeping Auburn open to the public, to do so in a way where it is possibly a place for ongoing education in historic preservation, and possibly working with a third party that they would contract with to assist them, because as we know, the Historic Natchez Foundation has limited staff, relies upon volunteers, and so they are working on that strategy. But to move forward, they need a lease from the city. I hope that we can get this done next Tuesday, and as we have discussed, any aldermen who have questions, we'd be happy to answer those questions. And I would encourage you also to reach out to Mr. Carter Burns, and he will be at our meeting next Tuesday. All right. Anything further on that? Really just a report.
But we're going to discuss it further next Tuesday, you said?
We're not taking any action
Okay.
today.
All right, thank you.
All right, we want to make sure everything is, all the T's are crossed and I's dotted. That takes us now to
Your report.
all right. On our agenda, under the mayor's report, we have been asked to appoint Mr. Bobby Ford Sr. to the Natchez Housing Authority
Ford Junior.
Board of Commissioners.
Bobby Ford Junior.
It says senior here,
Okay,
It's
but
junior.
this is his son.
that's
This is his son.
that needs to be corrected. It says junior. Because it's a special call meeting, if we wanted to, is it our understanding that there are 2 vacancies?
Yes.
Mr.
There are
West.
2
No,
vacancies?
No, it was
Mr.
one
Mayor.
vacancy and we
I'm
have 2
sorry.
applicants. We have 2 names that's been submitted.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderwoman Hall.
I spoke to the executive director for
You too.
clarification. Mr. Hughes felt there was a conflict of interest for him, so he declined.
Well,
And she's here.
she's
a
here.
representative here.
This is on the
Uh-huh.
agenda. I think we can recognize a
she's-
motion allowing her to speak,
Okay.
and I'll need that motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
So moved. Ms. Sanquinetta?
And so, Ms. Sequinetta, if you'll approach the microphone so that you can help clear this out, and then that way we'll know the appropriate motion
Okay.
to make.
Good afternoon. My name is Sanquinetta Givens. I am the Assistant Director of the Natchez Housing Authority. I'm here today because we had James West's position had come up again for him to redo his tenancy on the board, but he declined it. And when he declined, we asked if Mr. Larry Hughes could we appoint him. He agreed, but we had to bring the paper before you, and Your Honor. I guess I don't know what happened, but he also declined. So that's how we ended up with Mr. Bobby E. Ford Sr. to see if we can add him. The reason why we're asking that he be added is because tonight we have our annual board meeting. And before we can conduct any business, we need to make sure that we have all 5 appointments there in order to conduct business. We really were supposed to have it last week, but I think you all may have went out of town or a week before last, the meeting was canceled or something, but I've been Miss Pam is a sweetheart, and I've been just running back and forth, and we just please need that appointment of Mr. Bobby Ford. But it's just one person,
And
one
is it
spot.
Bobby Ford
Senior.
It is senior.
So it is
Senior.
correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So moved.
Okay,
And Mr. Mayor, it's
The
in my
motion has
ward,
been-
so I really would like to have that motion.
okay.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Irving has made the motion and Alderwoman Smith has already made that second. We will now have discussion.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Alderman Frazier and then
You
Alderwoman
go
Hall.
ahead. Good. You go ahead.
No, I was going to say when I spoke with the director, that's Miss Herbert.
Yes, ma'am,
So,
it is.
Yes, when you said she was here, I knew Miss
Okay.
Herbert was not here.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you. Alderman Frazier.
Yes, I would just like to say quick, fast, and hurry. Your selection of Mr. Ford is very excellent. It's an excellent condition. I mean, an excellent pick.
Mhm.
Simply because of the reason he had the expertise. He's a local contractor. And he had so.
And then years before, I don't mean to cut you off, years before, his father, Mr. Leonard Ford, was on our board.
Right.
Okay.
So we,
Thank you, ma'am.
I think that's where the junior came
Uh-huh.
into play.
Yes,
Right,
ma'am.
that's right.
Thank you so much. We'll call for the question. We'll proceed a second.
Second.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Ms.
All
Gibbons.
right.
I need to correct myself on the moment of order. I accepted the motion and second for Ms. Gibbons to speak, and I never asked for a vote on that motion.
Okay.
So at this time, I would like, so that our minutes are correct, all in favor of we're going to have a vote, all in favor of that motion to allow Ms. Gibbons to speak, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Also, I do thank you for your support of this Legends celebration. And I do want to say February 25th may be a date that gets moved, and I'll have to explain later. We'll look into it more, but we may have a scheduling difficulty. But at the same time, I think it's just so important that we throughout the year find the opportunities, as we've been doing, to celebrate the important African-American heritage we have in our city.
Absolutely.
And I just want to say, if you go back to the inauguration in July of 2020, we talked about telling that story. And we have been working to tell that story. And I'm so excited that in our kickoff event, February 1st, we're going to be able to celebrate the unveiling of 27 signs pertaining to African-American historic sites. And we have now, the city and NAPAC jointly have been named winners of a merit award by the Mississippi Historical Society. We're very excited about that. This is in keeping of that we are looking forward to having this Legends celebration. And of course, you know, the mayor has funds, and up to a certain amount we can do things, but I want to make sure that we get a motion that this Legends celebration will be an official celebration sponsored by the mayor and board of aldermen.
So moved.
Alderwoman Hall has made the motion.
But Mayor, I'm just saying this, but your budget varies from year to year depending on sales tax and all, so.
I do need a second.
Okay. All right.
Alderwoman Smith has seconded that motion. All right. We'll have discussion.
Well, thank you. I just was saying, as long as it remains that amount, yes, we support it.
Thank you.
Mhm.
We'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you. This being a special call meeting, I'm going to just wait until next week to have miscellaneous updates. I think everyone knows by now we have a lot going on. And we're also very honored to have in our midst one of our new pastors. And remind me, I'm drawing a blank.
Israel Hitchens.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Brother Israel, we just want to thank you for your interest in our city and forming a new church in our city. And I just wanted to welcome you to our meeting. I know there was a great article that the Natchez Democrat ran right before Christmas about this. And we're so grateful for our community of faith. Reverend Sanders, again, thank you for that beautiful prayer. You started our year off on the right note, and your references to Dr. King were so appropriate. And I do want to say this before we go to our executive session. We're going to have one today. I just want to say it is wonderful to live in a community where people come together in harmony and in unity for these great events.
That's what Sunday night
And
was about.
being at Beulah Baptist Church, a church full of diverse Natchezians of every background, applauding such a wonderful performance by these young artists who are so dedicated to honoring in song and in spoken word the legacy of Dr. King. What an honor and privilege it was just to be present and be in their midst.
You and I were there.
And I want to, and Alderwoman Hall, thank you for being there to show your support. I want to thank the Natchez Festival of Music and in particular Diana Glaze and Jay Dean for working to make that happen, and also Pastor Hargrave and the members of Beulah Baptist. And definitely I want to thank the NAACP for a fantastic parade yesterday.
Yes.
And it was my honor as mayor to participate in that parade. That said, now we are going to need to go into an executive session. We have a matter of personnel nature to discuss pertaining to the police department. We have a matter of personnel nature to discuss pertaining to the fire department. And is there anything else that we're going to need to take up in executive session, Mr. Attorney? Okay. Is there anything else, Alderman, that you can think of?
You just said hold it on.
I think that takes care of it. So we're going to go into executive session. That will be our open determination for executive session today. And I will request now a motion.
So moved.
The motion has been made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderwoman Irving. That motion is to go into executive session for those reasons described. We will give a report at the conclusion. And so I will now call for the question.
Call.
I will thank you. We'll now proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. We'll see you shortly. All right, here we have everyone come back. We're going to, all right, we now are back in session. I will give a report in a moment, but I would like to now entertain and have the time noted, entertain a motion to adjourn our executive session and return to regular session.
Mayor, I move that we adjourn executive session at
Okay.
1:45 PM.
Alderwoman Smith has
Oh, I'm
already
sorry, go
made the
ahead.
motion,
Second.
but we'll recognize you as the second.
Second.
All right, any discussion on the motion? I'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Madam Clerk, we just simply had a motion to adjourn the executive session, and that motion was made according to that clock at 1:47, and it was made by Alderwoman Smith. Alderwoman Hall seconded the motion. We will now give a report. We discussed matter pertaining to personnel issues in the fire department. No action was taken. We also discussed matters pertaining to personnel issues in the police department. And again, no action was taken. We now will entertain a motion that employee number 302640 be terminated for failure to appear for work.
So move.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Davis and seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion on the motion. Call for the question.
Called.
Question's been called. We'll now proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. We'll now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Motion made by Alderman Davis.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Frazier. Any discussion? We'll ask for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you so much.